Great shot.
For all exclusive interviews, betting blogs and much, much more, visit Cuesports.club, the new home of snooker.
Hi snooker fans, Curtis Braithwaite here for Cuesports.club. Today we have a real treat for you guys as we're here at the workshop of the cue maker of them all, the legend himself, John Parris. John, how are you, mate?
I'm fine, thank you.
Hi John, firstly, we know you as a great cue maker. What are your interests away from cue making?
Obviously snooker, the same as everybody else, but I've got a pond, sort of some fish, and photography, really. Also grandchildren now, so most of my spare time's taken up with grandkids, really. It's brilliant. So another lease of life for those. So.
Absolutely. And what sort of photography, John?
Sort of across the board, really, but mainly sort of landscape and millions of grandkids pictures. So,
a little bit of bird watching as well?
A
little bit of bird watching as well?
I've got stuff out in the back garden, actually, that, and not necessarily birds you're thinking of, but yeah, parrots we get in the garden, and woodpeckers and stuff like that, yeah.
Great stuff. Now, do you follow the results or watch much snooker yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily get time to watch that much of it, but whenever anything's on, I've normally got the live scores sort of scrolling around and the match scores keep up on that. So, yeah, it's a bit nail-biting sometimes. You're obviously rooting for your own players, sort of thing. I prefer it really when we get to the quarter-finals and they've all got Parris cues, and I can just relax and enjoy the game then.
That's right, definitely a Parris winner there. John, what's the most memorable match you've ever watched?
I don't know. There's a lot of them. You know, some of the finals. I mean, obviously, you know, Stephen Dennis's final was a real one. One of the proudest ones was there was a team tournament. You know, a national team tournament, and it ended up the UK team all had Parris cues. It was Jimmy, Ronnie, John Parrott and Steve Lee. And they won the tournament, so watching the foreigners, I think it was in the Hexagon at Reading, and, you know, it was sort of there, and it was sort of building up. But so much sort of pride and rivalry going on in that when you're sort of playing for a national team, you know, as opposed to just individual. Obviously, there's a lot of sort of rivalry there, but when you've got the whole team there, it was incredible. And, you know, to think like the whole UK team
all using Parris cues.
Couldn't have wrote the script for myself, really.
It's not bad for the advertising, is it? Right, this is a bit of a tough question for you, because you've made cues for a large percentage of the tour, but who's your favourite player?
I mean, well, you know, I mean, they're all nice guys. Obviously, I've got to say Steve Davis. I mean, we go back sort of with mates for sort of 30 years, sort of thing, yeah, or longer than that probably now. So, you know, on a friendship basis there. To watch, I suppose Ronnie is like, who doesn't like watching Ronnie?
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Know? Jimmy, I mean, unfortunately, I'm old enough to have been through most of them, really. So, you know, it started off, Alex was the one to watch, then Jimmy took over the mantle, then sort of Ronnie, it's, you know, they're the charismatic players. You know, you've got the brilliant players, so sort of Stephen and some of the others, but it changes as the sort of decades go on.
Yeah,
but yeah, I've been lucky enough to, or unfortunate enough at my age to have seen, you know, most of the great ones since snooker's been back on its feet.
No, that's great stuff. Now, what actually got you into cue making?
I overdo hobbies. An interest in snooker. I can't just get a cue and go and play with it. You know, I started fiddling around with the cues, doing a few repairs. Natural progression for that was to try and sort of make one. So I've got a few old half butts knocking around in the garage that I'd spliced about 40 years ago, sort of thing. But yeah, so it's just an interest in doing that. I can't just get a hobby and do it on the sidelines. I have to sort of read everything, soak up everything about it, and as luck would have it,
It's done okay. It's definitely done okay.
So I've sort of been working at my hobby for the last 30, 40 years.
Good stuff. And do you still make cues yourself, or is it just the guys in the workshop?
I do some of the work on every cue we make.
Are you sure, John?
From going out and selecting the wood, I've got sort of large sort of suppliers that I go to, because I'll spend a day going through hundreds of ash maple boards and come away with a little pile. It's frightening when you think of the percentages.
Yeah.
Bring that back, we cut them up, and then I go through those again, decide whether they're good enough or not, what end's going to be the tip end, what end's going to be the butt, whether it's going to be a 1 piece or a 3/4, do the marking out, setting out. We then take them down into sort of gradual tapers. I go through them again and I grade everything out. So I'm involved in everything. I don't just sort of get in the morning, sort of turn the lights on and let everybody carry on. The guys are coming to me a lot of the time saying, "What do you think about this? What do you think about that?" And once we've got the shafts made, I then marry them up with the individual orders. This table here, I'll cover that in job tickets with all the specs on for the various orders.
Yeah.
And I'll bring a batch of shafts out, and then I actually take each shaft, look at it, weigh it, sort of decide what's the best ticket that will be suitable for, and then I'll sort of write all the specs, decide how it's going to be done. I don't necessarily put on every ferrule, put on every tip, do every bit of splicing, but I'm involved in every step, So yes, I do still do quite a bit.
Great stuff, great stuff. Now I've noticed that you've made cues for many celebrities. Who's your favourite celebrity customer and why?
I suppose Ronnie Wood, really. I got a phone call from Jimmy saying, Ronnie wants a couple of cues. Could you pop them over? So we made arrangements, and I took a batch of cues actually over to his place in Richmond. I think it used to be part of the royal family sort of hunting lodge. Magnificent place, and a sort of wood panelled snooker room. He's got all this sort of artwork around the room, and we just spent the night having a laugh, sitting around having a drink, playing snooker. And I said, what one do you want? And he said, I'll have all of them. and he's now got, I think he's got a snooker room in the UK and a snooker room in Ireland, and he's just got Parris cues as his rackers all the way.
Yeah, that's good advertisement, John.
I think we got Damien Hirst as well. We've done quite a bit for him over the years. He's got some nice cues, so he's a real sort of snooker nut as well. So,
Absolutely. No, Ronnie Wood, great character, isn't he?
Yeah, I'll say.
And John, what's your opinion on the current state of snooker? And are there any changes you'd like to see implemented?
No, I before Barry got involved again, and if they'd have left him alone 30 years ago, we'd probably be in the same situation as tennis now, if they'd have let him run it then. But it was on its way out. I was sort of worried how it was going. There's less and less tournaments. He's taken it by the scruff of the neck, shook it, and I don't know who could do a better job. I think it's fantastic. It's obviously, people moan about this and moan about that. You're never going to please everybody, but the game now is so healthy globally. I don't think it's in better hands, really. And the team he's got around him as well, they're good guys.
Yeah, fully agree with you. Now, John, I know you occasionally log on to the snooker forum and interact with some of our fans. So I thought I'd give them...
I've got loads of great mates on there. Actually, I've got quite a few, but some aren't. You can't win everybody.
Correct. So I thought I'd give them an opportunity to ask you some questions. And what I'll do, I'll use their forum names. Okay. So that you can dig them out if there's anything you don't like, yeah?
Right. I use John Parris as my forum name. I always think it's best to be up front.
That's because you always talk in sense, John, like a lot of those guys. But we've managed to dig out a few decent questions. So, all right. Ken147 asks, has there been any advancements in cue building techniques from when you first started up until now?
Not really. They're still put together the same way. I mean, you never stop learning. Just the way you put them together, the materials you use, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they are a pointy stick. It's just the grade of the materials that you use. I mean, the biggest innovation I think really is the joint in the end of the butt for the extension and the little mini butts. Apart from that, there's not a great deal changed. I know people come out with different types of joints and different types of ferrules. I mean, we over the years we've done quite a bit of experimentation with a couple of pros on ferrule types, but we do keep going back to the brass ferrules. I'm trying a couple of other things now with ferrule material, but I'm still brass.
Still would have tried and tested it?
Yeah.
Alright, and Byram says, you've been very successful as a cue maker, but have you ever thought of getting a bigger premises or even opening up a shop in China as you're so popular in the Far East?
The problem with that is the thing that's always held us back is finding enough high grade material. And also, sounds like I'm making out that I do everything, but it's my involvement. I mean, I work long hours. I mean, quite often, because we're busy during the day, I mean, as you see earlier when you came in, we get a lot of customers coming in and out. I get very little done from 10 till 5 when we close. So invariably, I start doing all my work after 5 o'clock. So I'm here 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night quite often doing stuff. So there's only so many hours in the day. I struggle really to keep up with the orders that we've got. So to expand to another shop in China, I've got to stock that shop. Also, I'm very particular. I don't like letting things go. I like to do everything myself. So how would I run a shop in China? Whenever any of the guys, I mean, my wife Chris works in the shop sometimes, and we've got Paul, he's brilliant in the shop. But I'm still, if I'm around, I'm still sort of looking over their shoulders. So I mean, another shop in China would probably drive me nuts worrying about what was going on over there. There are shops in the Far East that sort of buy stuff off us and sell, but just day's not long enough really as it is. So I'm not enough of an entrepreneur. Really. Perhaps I should have done years ago.
Great stuff. A little bit of a controversial question there, John, because a few of our guys on the forum have questioned where your cues are actually made, mentioning China, Thailand. Can you set the record straight where your cues are all made?
Yeah. None of them are made more than probably 60 foot from where we're sitting now. Everything is made here. Okay. As I said earlier, I go out and select the timbers, we bring them back. So from a raw plank of wood to right to the end, as it leaves with the tip on it, everything's done here. I know there's always been people who are saying, you don't do it. And I know there are so-called UK cue makers that do bring them in part made or fully made versions of them. I've always had too much sort of pride in our products. And if you're going to say something's made in the UK, it should be made in the UK. I say that on the website, that everything's 100% here, and I do that with full knowledge of Trade Descriptions Act, advertising regulations. I'm open to anyone who can come in and look at what I do. Obviously, I'm not going to let everyone come and wander around the shop, but everything's done here, and people who come in regular know they can, they see it being done. I mean, I'll give you a quick look in the workshop in a minute, and you can see for yourself. But nothing is done outside of here.
Cheers, John. Thanks for setting that record straight. Now, ADR 147 asks, what's the most bizarre spec of cue you've been asked to make?
We do get some very, very long ones. I mean, I think John Campbell, the Australian pro years ago, we used to make some sort of enormous holes for him at one stage. And we've had some sort of really heavy ones, and we did some sort of Russian pyramid cues that were massive, but they wanted them spliced in the middle, spliced going up to the top, spliced level. So they were a bit weird. But probably the strangest thing, I had a guy come in with an ivory table leg that apparently was a family heirloom, and said, could I turn it into a snooker cue? I said, to be honest, I won't work with ivory, but I said no. But that was a weird one. It was a sort of a spiraling leg off or something like that.
Definitely a strange request. Now, Shockers asks, if you had to make a cue shaft from a wood other than maple or ash, what would you use and why?
I mean, I've thought about it a bit. You know, you get all these terrible stories about devastation in ash forests and things like that. So, you know, at some stage in the future, we might start having to look at things like that. I mean, historically, I suppose hickory was one that was used, pear was used. I've never actually tried. Mainly, I've had a few people say, "Oh, could you make me like a hickory cue or something like that?" But we make a lot of shafts. I don't just make a shaft for a cue. What I'll do is I'll make perhaps 100 or 200 shafts, and then I'll go through those. We probably reject, once we've gotten to a finished taper, around 30 to 40% of everything we make, even though I go to the trouble of selecting the best ash I can in the beginning. You get them to come out with blemishes, or they look great but they're just too whippy, and you know, lots of little things. But you know, it breaks your heart really.
Yeah.
You're chopping up these things that you've put a lot of work into, but you know, it's the only way you can maintain the quality. So to just make someone a cue out of a different wood, so you go and buy a piece of wood, chances are it's not going to be the piece of wood. You know, you'd have to make sort of 20 to make sure you get a couple of pieces
the right one.
So I've sort of shied away from that a bit. But you know, if time comes, I guess probably pear and hickory will be the first ones to look at. I've thought about oak, but I'm not quite sure. I mean, that looks more like ash, or perhaps one of these sort of laminated look-alike ashes, but they look a little bit too perfect sometimes, I think, those two.
Well, I don't think you've done too bad with maple and ash though, Johnny.
No. I mean, fingers crossed. I mean, yeah, we won't run out. You know, I think the price will go up as it gets less and less. You know, but you know, hopefully they'll find somewhere killing off these bugs that are chewing through the forest.
John, it's been such a privilege talking to you, as I know you're a very busy man. And all of us at Cuesports Club want to thank you for your time and keep up the great work that you're doing.
No problem. My pleasure. You know, any time.
Cheers, John.
Thanks for coming.